Vivid Night recently released on Nintendo Switch as the newest roguelike game to grace the scene, and while most roguelike are hack and slash or bullet hell games, this game focuses on being more of an Autobattler RPG. And I will admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Autobattler games, but this one does add several new aspects to the mix to keep players engaged while they battle their way through tons of dungeons. So today, let's break down Vivid Night and if it's worth your money and time on the Nintendo Switch. Before we dive too far into that, welcome to the Ogles channel. Thanks for watching today. Now just a heads up, the company behind Vivid Night did give me a review copy of the game, but like always, that doesn't affect my review in any form or fashion. My reviews are honest and same applies to Vivid Night as well. But let's go ahead and jump on into Vivid Night. Vivid Night follows the story of a princess who is on a quest to track down an evil witch who has turned everyone in the kingdom into jewels. In the princess' quest to find the witch, she is able to rescue some of her subjects from the jewels in which they're bound to and use them as warriors to assist her along the way. The story is pretty basic, but sort of easy to miss as well, because the intro just shows pictures with no captions or dialogue to really let you know what's happening, but that's the story for the game. From here though is where the core game begins. You are tossed into the first dungeon where you journey through a randomly generated map to find more team members to free from their jewels and use them to fight monsters on your way to the boss. When you fight monsters, you receive some loot such as money, jewels to unlock new team members, jewels for new weapons, or a key to move on to the next floor. The fight in the game is an auto battler, which means your team fights for you without your input. When you encounter an enemy, you do get to choose which spells or magic to use as an extra attack every turn, but 9% of the battle fights for you based on the stats of the warriors that you have freed. Obviously, you try to use the warriors with the best stats that you can mix and mash or upgrade the stats a little bit, but it is based all upon stats and not you actually fighting. I've never been a huge fan of this style of game, but this might not be such a deterring factor for others. You can have up to 6 members on your team to fight these battles, and to get all 6 members you have to purchase slots in your inventory. And you can only do this when you come to a break spot on the map or at a jeweler. At these locations you can also swap your team members out as need be, and if you collect 3 of the same colored jewels you can also upgrade a team member who matches that color, and the same can be done with the skills as well. There are other locations to explore on each floor of the dungeons which give you jewelry to upgrade your team, stores to buy items, treasure chests, alchemists, and more. While you want to explore as much of the floor as possible, you are also limited to 20 mana, and each move on the map takes away 1 mana point. When you do get all the way to 0, it then begins to take away some of your life as well. Therefore, you have to plan out how much exploring you want to do versus moving on to the next floor. This is a little bit of the strategy in the game, and it's sort of unique. When you get to the final floor of the dungeon, you'll fight a boss and then receive a large jewel as a reward. The bosses are pretty cool looking, however, with the auto battling mechanic, you never really get to feel like you get to know the bosses that you're fighting. It's more just a cool imagery for a little while. Following defeating the bosses, you then get to spend the large jewels at a shop on the main menu to enable you to access more jewels to unlock during your next run. After unlocking more jewels, you'll head back into the dungeon menu to head to your next dungeon. There are a ton of dungeons to explore, and they change every single time you play them, so even if you run through an old dungeon, it's a new experience. Now personally, this is not my type of roguelike dungeon crawler because I prefer an unlimited ability to explore, and I also like being able to fight on my own instead of being automatically done based upon your skill level. However, I will say the mechanics that are set up are really solid and well done. The combat has clearly been thought out and everything is well balanced, especially with your skill levels and such, and the capping your ability to explore the dungeon with your mana is actually what makes the game work as well as it does. It forces you to make more decisions on your path and weigh more of your options. It's not my type of roguelike experience, but it is well done for players who enjoy this style of game. Now Vivid Night currently sells for $15 on the eShop, and that's a bit expensive compared to other roguelike games of similar quality, and while you could get hours of gameplay out of it, the grind of going through the dungeons will get old a bit quicker than other roguelike games. If this game does look and sound down your alley, I'd say wait for it to go on sale for $10 or less, and you'll get your money's worth out of it for sure. However, if you don't like auto battlers or roguelike games in general, there's nothing in this game that will change your mind from that. But what do you guys think? Does Vivid Night sound like a game down your alley, or is it a pass for you? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, go out there, find a great game to play, and just simply have a great rest of the day.